Hi, lovely. Last episode, I talked about ADHD diagnosis in general, mainly. A little bit more about ADHD diagnosis for women and being a late diagnosed ADHDer myself. And I promised to share my story around diagnosis. So here it is. So, a bit of background, I will often say that I'm a bit embarrassed by my ADHD diagnosis being so late. I have a psychology degree, I'm a qualified counsellor, and it never once occurred to me that I had ADHD. I had always thought I was a bit anxious. And I found that being a counsellor myself and talking through and working through tools and strategies for anxiety with people was helpful. And it turns out that that stuff was helping with my undiagnosed ADHD. So there I was, with my degree and with my counselling qualifications and supporting people, and I had no idea that I had ADHD until one of my kids was being assessed. The school flagged a few things. We decided, yeah, let's go for a diagnosis and went along to the paediatrician. And she was great. She spoke to my kid and, sort of nodded and went, yeah. And sort of looked at me and went, it often runs in families. And I had that moment thinking, oh, I hadn't really thought about this for my other kid, who's older. God, really not anything that I've noticed. And it took me a minute, and it would have been like the cartoon light bulb going on over my head. Oh, oh, you mean me? So definitely I have the late diagnosed label. I didn't think about it, but of course it was the full light bulb. It just kind of made sense. I looked into it, went to see my GP full of confidence, right? I need a diagnosis. And back then, GPs couldn't diagnose. As it happens now in Queensland, where I am, some GPs can do the ADHD diagnosis, but then I had to get the referral and go see a psychiatrist, and it felt like quite a long process. Quite difficult, actually, for somebody with ADHD to call up the psychiatrist practice to make the appointment and find there was a wait list and um, look then at other practices because you can use a referral here for any practice, even if not necessarily the one it says. Um, so I had to sort of push myself to do that, getting on the wait lists and doing the thing. And then I went along to the psychiatrist and did the first sort of talk through, I did the assessment, had to get family people to also do the assessment. And unfortunately, the person best placed to do that for me declined, but I still was able to get the diagnosis because so many things were in place. And we also know that for women, the pattern as a young kid isn't actually there as much. It tends to kick in more in puberty. So it's not quite the same overlap. But went through the process and from start to finish, from seeing the GP and getting the referral to getting the diagnosis, took around a year in total. So I really just want to validate that if it feels like a hard process from the outset, it is time consuming. For me, it was very worth it. I mentioned that sort of embarrassment I feel of I really should have noticed. But actually, back when I did my psychology degree, ADHD wasn't a diagnosis for girls. It literally wasn't in the DSM, the manual for diagnosis. So, it wasn't going to be picked up when I was a kid. It just wasn't. So there's no anger for me of, why did nobody realize I was struggling? And I'm that classic did okay through school, got lots of reports that said, it could try harder, has ability, but there was never any sign of struggle. Definitely had some moments of the, oh, things that could have been different. So there is a bit of the, oh, if only. And, I did work so hard for so long and always thought there's something wrong with me. And so lots of things made sense. And definitely giving a bit of self-compassion. Late diagnosed ADHDers, I think one of the most important things we can have is that self-compassion, that recognizing, oh, I have worked so hard for so long and watch me go. I obviously, worked quite a few things out for myself. And it didn't change who I am. It just explains, oh, yeah, that makes sense. But also, I have chosen to take meds. The research has found that for the overwhelming majority of people with a correctly, appropriately diagnosed ADHD, medication can really, really be helpful. And it's certainly I have found that it is for me. So access to that has been extremely helpful. And as I say, I've actually found that quite a lot of tools and strategies for anxiety have been helpful with my ADHD, even before I knew I had ADHD. But now I know better to really focus on the foundational things like sleep and movement. Some of the harder feelings are in there, all those years of not knowing, that sort of sense of, there are definitely things that could have been different for me. But overall, the question I get asked by clients, is it worth it? Is it worth going through the hoops in a way to get a diagnosis? And my answer my personal answer is a very definite yes. My professional answer, I can't tell people what to do. I certainly suggest that for the majority of people, it's really helpful. It points you in the direction of what tools and strategies would be helpful, and really gives you that sense of, oh, that's why it's happening. And for me, I that the lazy label has come up more than once in my life. The you never stick at anything has come up a bit. And so for me, the validation of, yeah, I'm not actually lazy. And I do stick at things when they interest me, when they have meaning for me. So I have definitely found it very validating and very helpful now in terms of helping me choose where to put my energy and how to conserve my energy and how to build my energy. So, if you're on the fence, I get it, and I still think it's worth it. Something that I'm very happy to talk with people about if you want to get in contact. And, I'm going to be having more episodes that focus on ADHD and some of the tools and strategies that are super helpful. So if you think you might have ADHD, if you think you might be one of us late diagnosed women with ADHD, welcome along. I hope to see you back here or reach out to me and see you next time. Thank you.